take us to court to get a better number.
Which could potentially cost the city a heck of a lot more.
It could. It could. Which is why we're going on the upper side of the estimates on everything.
So what accounts for the discrepancy, the roughly $70,000? What is the difference that he's citing as a?
He feels he has spent more than that to remove the rock, whether it be equipment or labor or materials. He feels he has spent that additional amount.
But your argument is that because they should have incorporated into the original bid, they shouldn't expect to get their total money back.
That's a part of the argument, but only a very small part, actually. That's $15,000 to $20,000 accounted for with that 6 inches that we deducted from it. The main part of it is that he's wanting to go by hours and materials, and we just don't feel it was very efficient.
So was the bid that he gave based on the job completed, not hours and materials?
It was, but it doesn't anticipate unknown conditions like 6 feet of rock up into the project. If you hit what is known as an unknown condition, that is cause for a contractor to request a change order, and for both parties to come to an agreement on how much it is. And we're not entirely at an agreement at this point, but we certainly hope that he will accept this offer.
And as a backup plan, can you hire another contractor for the same amount?
No, we could not.
Because you're bound by this contract?
Initially, we could have, but at this point, we would have to go after the contractor's performance bond and declare that he was not making progress and not prosecuting the job. I'm not sure that we can actually make that claim because he is still working and making progress, albeit much slower than we would have anticipated, mainly because of the time it took him to break the rock. Very awkward situation for us, but it's something that we just could not have anticipated.
What's his timetable for receipt of payment on this? The reason why I ask is because I feel kind of it is an awkward situation, Jim. I mean, we've got 95,270 here that you're looking for,
Yep.
but we don't have any guarantee whatsoever that the contractor will take that money instead may sue us. Does it make more sense to? I mean, I hate to hold off until August to get a payment to this person, but I think it'd be better if we had an actual number that we both agreed on before we decided to agree to an amount not to exceed.
Well, I can tell you he has stated his bottom dollar is about $160,000, as it says in the council action form. Whether he will in fact accept less than that, we're not sure. We think we have finally run out of rock at one point and have about 400 feet more of pipe to go where we don't think we're going to encounter rock. Now, that may help us get together on this number, but...
So this is really more of a negotiating stance than anything else.
Yes.
But you've seen his numbers and his documentation and how much time he spent?
Yes.
And does it
some of it is a little questionable, but it would seem to back up some of his claim, but only if you're charging it by the hour and the materials. Nobody on the municipal side does that. You charge it by the cubic yard.
oh, so that's a pretty strong argument.
Yeah.
So we really don't have to, I mean, that shouldn't be a concern then.
Well, what I would assume would happen is that, so we went back and his number would be what it is, and then Jim or Cheryl would bring it back and say, here's what the final number is.
Let's start here.
Weigh this margin if it's worth entertaining the possibility of litigation or paying what he's bottom asking right now.
So let's
Exactly.
start here.
If the city's comfortable or somewhat comfortable with offering 95,270 and saying this is going to be enough, a threshold to avoid litigation,
Well, this is a number that I can support with cost estimating on that quantity of rock
okay.
and on the upper end of it. And I don't feel that we can justify any more than that based on doing the work.
Right.
Okay.
Whether we can, get that agreement made or not, that remains to be seen.
It's not good news, but we can avoid.
It appears we're trying to take appropriate action.
I agree.
Anybody else have any questions? I'd like to open it up for public comments, if not. Jim, thanks. Stay close, just in case. At this time, I'd like to open the floor to public comments. If there's anyone that would like to discuss new business item number 3, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and be heard. Anyone? With no one coming forward, I would entertain a motion.
I move that we authorize the city administrator to execute 2 change orders to the contract for the White Drive Sewer Project in an amount not to exceed $153,383.
Second.
Motion, go ahead, Larry.
So, these additional costs, are they borne, you know, half of them borne by the school district? Or isn't this, I mean,
Or is this our half already?
This project is entirely borne by the city, not by
it has
the...
nothing to do with the schools at all?
No.
No.
It would have happened if the schools had never even
We
built there?
accelerate, this is the part that we accelerated because of the flood.
Yeah, correct.
Any other questions, anyone? We've got a motion on the floor to authorize the city administrator to execute 2 change orders to the contract of the White Drive Sewer Project. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. New business item number 4. Consider authorizing the city administrator to execute a contract with USIC for locating services. Doing the shuffle, Jim.
Yep.
Good to see you up there again.
The contract that we currently had with USIC was basically an annual contract, could have been extended further, but they were asking for a new contract simply because we had this contract in place for at least 7 years. And we had told them the last time they kind of questioned that if we were to go for a new contract, we would go for an RFP and put it out for, other companies to quote on. And so we did just that. We sent it out to a number of companies, and we only got 2 responses, but one of those was USIC, the other one was Integrity Locating Services. Both are very adequate firms. USIC is basically one of the biggest players in the locating business. The other company, Integrity, is very much a local company in the Kansas City metro area. They recently got a contract with Olathe, and I believe they had another one with one of the other cities. I don't recall which. But at any rate, they have good services. They would certainly be capable of providing the service as well. Looking at the way that they bid it, it made it a little difficult to, the way they proposed it, made it a little difficult to compare them, but just taking a standard locating call and comparing that based on the rates that each of them proposed, the Integrity would be more expensive, and USIC would be the cheaper of the 2 companies. That may not always hold. It depends on the situation when you're doing the locates. There might be some times when the Integrity would be a little more inexpensive, but most of the time, based on the quote, it would seem that USIC will be the more economical company for us.
So these are the same types of companies that come out if you want to dig a fence or put in a sprinkler system?
Yes, sir.
They do that. So I guess one question I was thinking about as I read this is, what percentage of the total does a 1/4 mile long and full width right-of-way project comprise? I mean, it seems like there's I see a couple $1,000s a month in expenditures, and I gotta believe a lot of those are fences, sprinklers, things like that. So
we expend, generally speaking, about $38,000 a year at this time. Back in